In the years between two world wars, Germany struggled through poverty, unrest, and uncertainty. The city of Düsseldorf was no exception. Streets were crowded, factories loud, and tensions high. Yet beneath the noise of daily life, something darker was beginning to take shape. This is the story of Peter Kürten. Kürten was born into a world of hardship, marked by violence and neglect. His childhood environment shaped a personality that would later shock the entire nation. As he grew older, Kürten became skilled at presenting himself as calm and ordinary. Neighbors described him as polite, quiet, and well-behaved. But behind this appearance was a man hiding impulses he could not control. By the late 1920s, Düsseldorf had become the center of a crime wave that confused investigators. Reports of attacks came from different neighborhoods, at different times, and with no clear pattern. Police initially believed the crimes were committed by several unrelated offenders. As fear spread, residents avoided walking alone after sunset. Parents warned their children to return home before dark. Rumors grew quickly, carried from bar to market, and from market to street corner. Some believed the attacker was a foreigner. Others believed he was a local laborer. No one suspected the quiet man who blended into crowds without effort. Kürten studied news reports about the investigation, learning how authorities were responding. He adjusted his movements accordingly, keeping his daily routines calm and predictable. Detectives combed the streets for clues, interviewing hundreds of residents. Yet every promising lead dissolved into uncertainty. The lack of progress frustrated Inspector Ernst Jennert, one of Germany's leading criminologists. Jennert studied the reports carefully, searching for a behavioral link. His notes suggested the crimes were not random but directed by a single mind. He warned the police that the case required patience and careful analysis. Meanwhile, Kürten continued living his quiet domestic life, unnoticed by most people around him. His wife later said that she never imagined he was connected to the crimes. She saw only a man who worked, returned home, and kept to himself. During public meetings, citizens demanded answers from local authorities. Newspapers circulated dramatic headlines, increasing pressure on the police force. Public fear grew stronger with each passing month. Then, in a rare moment of openness, Kürten began revealing small pieces of information to a young woman named Maria. He approached her with a calm tone, speaking with confidence. He introduced himself as Peter and offered friendly conversation. Maria later reported that he displayed no sign of agitation. But during a later meeting, he made a shocking admission. He told her that he was responsible for the crimes that had terrorized the city. Maria fled immediately and sought help from the police. Her testimony marked a turning point in the investigation. Detectives compared her description with witness statements from earlier incidents. The consistency was striking and aligned with earlier suspicions. Police began a focused search for Kürten, monitoring the areas he was known to visit. Informants provided additional leads that strengthened the case. The next day, police formed a plan to surround the area near the main station. One officer recognized Kürten from earlier questioning and alerted his superiors. Kürten arrived at the station shortly after noon. He observed the officers and seemed to understand what was happening. Rather than attempting to flee, he approached one of the detectives calmly. He said simply, "I am the man you are looking for." His arrest stunned the community. People gathered outside police headquarters, whispering in disbelief. Many struggled to understand how such an ordinary man could be responsible for so much fear. During questioning, Kürten answered with precision and confidence. Officers noted that he showed no sign of hesitation. His detailed statements matched evidence from the investigation. Inspector Jennert recorded that Kürten displayed an unusual clarity of memory. According to the inspector, Kürten treated the interviews as opportunities to explain his behavior. At his trial, journalists filled the courtroom benches. The public followed every development closely. Experts debated the meaning of his actions and his state of mind. Some argued that Kürten was driven by psychological disorder. Others believed he acted out of desire for control and dominance. The court reviewed evidence carefully. Prosecutors presented witness testimony, medical reports, and Kürten's own statements. He sat calmly throughout the proceedings. When invited to speak, he delivered clear and direct responses. Observers described him as confident and collected. The trial lasted several weeks, drawing nationwide attention. Reporters published daily summaries of the testimony. Photographs of Kürten circulated widely across Germany. To many citizens, his face appeared shockingly ordinary. On July 2, 1931, the court reached its decision. It concluded that Curtin was fully responsible for his actions. Sentencing was delivered without delay. Curtin accepted the verdict with no visible emotion. Afterward, detectives reported that he remained cooperative. Even during his final interviews, he answered questions without frustration. On the morning of his execution, Curtin was described as calm and polite. He asked a final question to the attending physician about human perception at the moment of death. It was a question that disturbed many who read about it later. Following his death, citizens hoped the city would return to normal life. For some, however, the memory of the case lingered for decades. Criminologists studied the investigation as a major example of early forensic methods. Janot's work on the case influenced European approaches to profiling. Over time, the story of Peter Curtin became a subject of academic research. Historians focused on the conditions that shaped early 20th century Germany. Psychologists examined Curtin's writings to understand his motivations. Sociologists studied the widespread public reaction and the role of fear in urban communities. The case became one of the most well-known in German criminal history. Today, the name Peter Curtin still carries a powerful warning. It reminds us that danger does not always appear dramatic. Sometimes, it walks quietly beside us, unnoticed. The Vampire of Düsseldorf remains a chilling example of how ordinary appearance can hide extraordinary darkness. Through the work of investigators and experts, the truth of his actions was brought to light. The case stands as a significant chapter in the history of criminal investigation, and it continues to be studied by scholars around the world.